Hi, guys. We are here tonight with our another session of hashtag Educators Can, and I have Nikki Leonti with me. How are you, Nikki?
Hey, I'm good. It's actually a bit of a weird night for me. Andy, my husband, has gone away. He's gone over to the US. He left yesterday. Oh no, he left Monday. Oh man, that's flown by. And so I'm
Yep.
all alone with three children, and I've got the baby to sleep. I've got the two older ones watching their show, and I feel like everything is going beautifully tonight. So let's just pray that it continues. Otherwise, we'll have some guest appearances shortly.
That's a super achievement, but that's well done.
I was patting myself on the back earlier. I was like, man, this is great.
Recognition where recognition is due. You've got to recognize those
Absolutely.
wins.
I mean, I had dinner, jammies and everything by like 6 o'clock.
Oh,
I was like,
that is
yeah,
good going.
Yeah,
Hey,
so that was pretty
because
good.
one of yours is at school as well, so you would have had a whole school run and everything to do as well.
Yes. Yeah, the whole lot goes in there, and yeah,
Nice.
it's been fun.
Well done. Well done. Cool. So we have, we'll jump into it. We have
Yeah.
2 super questions for tonight. If you have any questions for us, pop them down below. We would love to hear them. And even if we don't get them to them tonight, then we will hold them over to next week. But our first question is, how do you stand out when you have vacancies? And this was a super question that was asked in our group, and it was from Jackie, and she says that she's struggling to fill her places. And she feels that that her market is really saturated in the area with both family daycare and brand new centres. And she has been an educator for 28 years, so she really wants to revamp and reinvent herself. And she's decided that what she would like to do would be to build a website. And is that a good idea? So, Nikki, this is one of your forte areas. It really is. So I am assuming that you are going to say yes, go for it.
Absolutely. And you know what? I wrote a blog post over on the Start Your Own Family Daycare blog. It must have been either last year or the year before. And I really went into detail about why family daycare educators must have a website, especially now. And I know she's been doing it for a long time, and I give her a huge amount of respect for that. And things have really changed in the industry, in our society, about how people, find services that they're looking for, particularly for childcare. Parents are going to do their research. And in the example in the blog post I wrote, I kind of, I related it back to if you heard about a new Indian restaurant, or if you heard about an Indian restaurant, for example, and you're kind of just thinking, whether you're going to go there, right? Or you've just kind of heard about it. And I would always go do a quick Google search or go try and find their website. If they don't have a website, I'd be thinking, oh, are they really even legit? Like, do they actually exist? And that's just the way people work now. Like, if a business doesn't have a website, we don't even think they're real. We don't think they exist. We're like, oh, how am I going to find them? So if you don't have a website, I really feel like parents might question whether you are professional to some point, especially those who don't know you at all. And that's what websites are for. It's about trying to help people understand who you are and what you're about before they pick up the phone. And especially if you've got, you've got a saturated environment, you're definitely going to have to be trying to reach out a little bit further, and with families that may not have heard of you before. So looking at getting your website on board, having your social media going, and maybe doing some ads. So the thing that I want people to think about when they're doing their website, is a particular kind of, X factor about you, and why parents would pick you over any other childcare centre, over any other family daycare centre in their area. So for me, for example, when I first opened, my real focus was on outdoor learning. So I was all about, having great outdoor environment. We would do outdoor, walks, adventure walks. We were at the park. We spent a lot of time outside and a lot of activities outside. And that's what parents were really looking for. No other educator in my area was doing that. And that is definitely something that, was what people liked. So in order to try and work out exactly what that X factor is, I really want you to think about what parents have actually said to you, like, wow, you do this really well. So I want you to try and think about something that you do really well, and you need to try and merge it with what parents are also looking for. So we need to make sure that that is, a promotional element that we could use for your website and social media. So Catherine, who came on a little while ago, and she presented in the summit a few months back, and her focus is Montessori. And so when I first met her, she wasn't promoting herself as Montessori, but I knew she was a Montessori teacher. My kids go to a Montessori school, which is not that far away. And I was looking at her for my middle child and to look after him. And I said, why don't you be promoting as Montessori? I mean, man, like, if I'd have known you were Montessori, it would have been like a no-brainer. Like, I would have been searching for you. And she did that. So she changed all her promotion as a Montessori family daycare. And I mean, there were people from the school who had younger siblings who were driving 20 minutes each way to come to her. So if you think about what that expect Dave further to come to you and book in with you, then you're definitely onto a model that you'll have a wait list. You won't need to be stressing, because you're not actually, like, when you identify exactly what's so unique about you, you're not then having the competition seems slightly more irrelevant. It's still there, but it's not as strangling competition. Like, you're not trying to beat them on price. You're not trying to beat them on, inclusions. You're setting yourself apart as something very unique. So that's my spiel. But I do go through in the Family Daycare Academy. If you go and check out fdcacademy.com, I show you exactly how to build your own website, and you can do a free website. I show you exactly how to identify this, what we've just spoken about, and I go through all of the marketing elements. So I've got a marketing 101 for family daycare, and it goes through all of this. So if you're trying to work out exactly how you can make your marketing a little bit different, then check that out.
And I like that you said that it does. Educators do feel, when they become stressful over filling spots, they do feel strangled. They feel really, like they're digging a hole that they can't get out of. And they forget to actually take a step back and really think about what makes them unique, what can they promote about themselves that parents will really love. Trying to really connect with the right parents. You don't want to attract the whole town. You just want those parents, families that will fit really well with you. And I think sometimes we get into that mindset of, I just need children. But it needs to be a lot more centered than that, like a lot more focused.
Yeah, because if you're trying to reach out to everybody, if you're trying to please everyone, you're not satisfying or wowing anyone, because you're just trying to do this. You're trying to offer the most. You're going to stress yourself out. People who are, every area is a little bit different as well, like based on, incomes in the area. But generally, there's going to be families who are happy to pay that little bit more for something that really aligns with what they're looking for. So if you are really aligned with a particular thing that parents are looking for, and there's I want to give a few examples because sometimes people get a bit stuck on that bit. So, outdoor space, Montessori, Reggio Emilia, like having that, it's all, play-based environment. If you're looking at, some people like to go the eco-sustainable pathway. That's a great gardening, cooking. Some people like to eliminate all chemicals. So that's kind of another route. Again, you need to make sure that there's a big enough audience in your area that would be able to fill those spots, highlighting that particular thing. And what the other thing I do want to highlight though is that although I was super focused on the outdoor environment and really using that as my promotion, I still had some parents who didn't give a crap. Like they were just like heard about me, came along, and that's okay. It's not about excluding people who are not super aligned with you. With what the marketing that you're putting out there, that marketing is not excluding people. It's just going to be attracting more people that are fitted. So I want, some people had that question when I was running the course live. They were saying, "But aren't I going to be like excluding too many people? Aren't I going to?" And no, it's not going to. Like other people are still going to hear about you. Other people are still going to see your marketing and all of that kind of thing. So you don't need to be too scared of excluding people based on picking out that unique element.
On the same token, you actually do want to exclude some people because I'm like you, and we spend a lot of time outside. My children get very, very messy sometimes. And if I interviewed a parent, and I actually did interview a parent that didn't want their child outside very much, and, "Oh, you are going to keep them clean all the time, aren't you?" I'm sorry, no. All of the children, we can work through different
Really? A parent said that?
Different things. They did. She's like, "Oh, I can't have her outside." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're not going to, if we can't work through this, then she's actually not going to fit very well in my environment." And she actually went elsewhere. So you do want to have in your mind, what is your things? What are your non-negotiables? Because they're probably part of your passion things, and they're probably part of the things that you can share that parents will really want. And I won't give up my outside time with my children, and I won't give up my messy play. And if a parent wants you to do that, then you do actually want to, well, with me, if a parent did actually want me to do that, then I would say, "I'm sorry, I don't feel you're a good fit." There will be other educators that would be perfect for you, but that's not us. And it's okay to say that because you actually do want to promote yourself as being real, like what your passions are and what you really like doing as an educator. You want to show that to your new families and make sure that they're going to be a good fit for that. And to show that to your new families, you actually have to recognize what it is and start promoting it.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. That was a really good question, actually, because that hasn't come up for quite a while.
And you know what, guys? Share with us, what is your passion? What is the things that you are sharing with parents that make you stand out? And let's get a little bit of sharing going on that might actually give other educators an idea about what is their thing. And I think mine is my environment, absolutely, being on 5 acres, a little bit out of town. A lot of animals that we've already spoken about, and music. I'm very, very big on music. And those two things, when I talk to parents, they are two things that I can really promote with parents. And they're really, really obvious. When they come out to see me, when they come out to interview, they can tell. Like, they can see it. They can tell. Super. Okay. Are we okay to move on? I really would like to
Yeah, I
hear
think so.
from, yeah, I really would like to hear from educators. But if you're watching in the replay and you take a little bit of time to have a think and share with us, what's your passion? What's your thing that you can use to stand out?
Yeah.
So we've got Marilyn here as well. Marilyn says, hi. So guys, stay high as you come on. We like to know who's here. We've got now our second question is around water hazards. Oh.
Yeah.
The
whole thing didn't come up.
It didn't show the whole thing. Okay, well, I'll wait on. I'll read it. And this is from Crystal, and she says, when on an excursion, how close does water have to be regarded as water hazard and needing to be noted on a risk assessment? Love this question. It is definitely one that educators debate and are never quite sure on. Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Oh, you can start. I was just going to say this is the because like what we're going to say, it's talking about how each scheme is slightly different with their water hazard policies.
They are.
Although there's underlying policy, some schemes go even further. And this was one of the reasons why one of the reasons why I swapped schemes was because the scheme that I had been with didn't allow for water play. And for me, that was a bit of a bit of an issue because I love, having water shops. So, I just want you to go into, how each scheme is a little bit different and where can she find the right answer?
So we have the underlying regs, and then schemes have their option of going above the regs. So they can make their policies to say more or less whatever they want. And so when we're choosing a scheme, as Nikki said, we really have to look at all their policies and see what ones are going to affect us and what ones we can work with, and make sure that the scheme that we're choosing, we can work within their policies. So my thought around this is you really need to read your policies. You really do, because schemes are extreme on this, from absolutely no water play, no excursions where there's anywhere near water, to, sort of halfway. You can have fences, you can have, you can visit parks as long as you have fences, you can do some water play, that sort of middle. And then you have the other extreme where I've seen photos on Facebook with children with their children at the ocean, like at the sea. And, you'll ask them, is your scheme okay with this? And she's like, yeah, I had to do a risk assessment. I had to take someone else with me, but then she was right to do that. So their schemes are from one extreme to the other on both ends, and you have to read the policies to really know how you need to go about you need to go about doing your risk assessment, and whether it will actually get through or not. There is no point doing up a huge risk assessment and as far as you're concerned, dotting all your I's, crossing all your T's, looking at all the things that you can see, and then have a scheme go, well, here's the policy, we don't allow you near water. So I think that would be another thing.
And the other element you want to think about as well is sometimes that you can be closer to water with a higher, a lower ratio, so more adults to children. So that's something else if you wanted to talk to them. Now, generally, when the difference, and we've spoken about this before, like there's regulations and then there's policies, and the regulations cannot be changed. Like we can't change that. Schemes can't negotiate that. But schemes can negotiate policies that they put in place. So if they want to take things further, that can actually be negotiated. So if you feel that the policy is unreasonable, you can definitely put, you know, a well thought out argument to the coordinator and say, look, I feel this is too restrictive, and I feel like this is the regulations. Why couldn't I do this if I put this in place? So, you know, there are options if it's a big deal for you, that you can kind of take things further. I guess, you know, if your question was based around on whether you can walk at a park near a pond, then I mean, it's pretty, you know, I would just call the scheme and just find out exactly what the deal is. But I know that some educators have gone and said, look, I think the policy is unreasonable. And I mean, that applies to any policy that schemes have that have, you know, interpreted or taken things further than the regulations. But what you need to keep in mind is that schemes essentially legally are responsible for the children in your care. Yes. So anything, it does. So if anything happens to the children in your care while you take them wherever, you know, the scheme is also highly, you know, liable. So some schemes will put, you know, stricter policies in place purely because they have more educators. Perhaps there's been a reason, you know, an event that's happened. So, you know, there's things to think about there. But yeah, some educators don't realise that it's not just them that's responsible for the children, but the scheme as well.
Yeah. And now our scheme, is it every 2 years? Our scheme actually reviews all our policies. You know, I think it's every 2 years. And we go through and we look at it. So it really does. Oh, we're flicking on and off here.
There we go.
So yeah, your scheme actually needs to review those policies regularly as well. So sometimes it can be very hard to change a policy once it's in, but you will also have a date when that policy will be up for review, and that is a great time to really go into about if you want it changed and talk to other educators about whether that policy is working for them or not as well. And then, it really is up to negotiating, and some schemes are quite you are quite able to negotiate with them, and others you aren't, so that is up to a scheme as well.
Well, these are really good questions tonight.
They are great questions. That's all our questions, but guys, have you got any more questions? I only had
questions. And if you are watching the recording and you do have more questions, please just leave the questions in the comments below, because we do this every week. So we're going to be back next week, and we can answer your questions then as well, which would be great.
Yes, absolutely.
That's actually has worked out good for tonight, because I need to head off in about 5 minutes anyway. So there you go. Maybe people knew. It's a little bit quiet. We're not so chatty tonight. What's going on?
It is.
It is a bit cold up here. I think maybe people are a little colder up in Queensland. So
yeah. I've got hi Fiona, how are you? Fiona says, hi everyone. What personal policies do you recommend thinking about before a new educator starts interviewing parents? So Nikki, did you have personal policies?
Do you mean like what policies I was really looking at?
Yeah, so some educators are really, I'm assuming what Fiona means is again, there's the regs and then there's the scheme policies, and some educators will put another layer of policies across the top of that just to say what they want. It seems to be becoming a little bit popular.
I didn't do that, but there were policies that I guess mentally, like I knew I wanted to make sure that I could do in my service. So there were policies that I looked at when I was selecting a scheme that were important to me. And so the water play was essential. Doing excursions was essential. Having, I guess, somewhat risky play. So, we were outside, sticks, stones, climbing frames, things like that, all within the regulations, their restrictions on what we could be doing outside. So those were kind of the things that I was looking for when I was interviewing schemes. When I first joined a scheme, I had no idea what I was doing. Hence why I started the blog, because I mean, seriously, there was not a lot of information out there. And I had no idea what I was doing, so I didn't know what to look for or what not to look for. So for me, once, I got into the swing of things and realized, hang on, I can't do water play, then that's when I started looking elsewhere. And there were a few other issues as well. So for me, those were kind of the most important ones. How about for you?
Fee policy, educators need to do their own fee policy and have that approved by the scheme that they're under. But that would be the only one that I can think of. I didn't go writing my own policies or anything like that. I just, our scheme does the review with all the educators, and then that goes to council to be approved. They have legal people, they have all of that I don't necessarily have access to. So I'm very happy with going with their policies and don't feel that I need to write anything above what they give us.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're going to thank you, Nikki, so much for tonight.
Oh, thanks. It was fun.
It was good. And thanks for the questions, guys. We love good questions. So we're going to leave it there, and we will be back next week on Nikki's page, Start Your Own Family Daycare, at 7:30 with our hashtag #EducatorsCan. And if you're watching in the replay, write your questions down because we will come back and look for them.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.